Us is Hazem Alghabra. He's a former senior advisor to the U.S. State Department. So, we just kind of heard our correspondent speaking about why Syrian rebel groups decided to launch this major, large-scale attack. But I'm interested to hear why you think the choice to do that is now.
Thank you for having me. A lot to unpack here. Obviously, there are changes on the ground. From the Russian side, Russia is very occupied in Ukraine. The presence of Russian troops, forces, equipment is not what it used to be in that region. Also, Hezbollah and their militias operating in that area are very distracted. Hezbollah has lost most of its command and control capabilities, and the troops are demoralized. So from a tactical perspective, you have those changes. Obviously, there are also regional geopolitical changes. Israel's success in Lebanon on one side, and even in the U.S., these rebels are smart. They're looking at the changing atmosphere, the change in the U.S. administration, the incoming change, and saying we need to get back on the map. Their issues have been neglected for the most part over the past 4 years. They're looking to reintroduce themselves as a faction in the region, and to see if they can extract some, at least attention from the international community toward some type of solution, and at least, as I said, re-examination of the situation in Syria.
What is Turkey's role in all of this?
Ariel said it best earlier. We don't know yet. It's very obscure at this point. There are multiple factions. We know, or we believe, that the shock movement was led by HTS, Hayat Tahrir Sham, which is aligned with Turkey. We also observed some new capabilities. We're looking at FPV drones that were used. We're looking at new equipment. You can see some of these fighters carrying brand new RPGs and light arms. So somebody's supporting by funding and passing equipment. Obviously, that equipment will likely have to come through Turkey. But we have not seen an official Turkish stance on this. Turkey officially has distanced itself from what's happening.
How will this impact Turkey's relationship with Syria, especially amid this summit that both nations were planning together?
The relationship, or the changing relationship, has been exaggerated by the media. We don't believe really that anything has substantially changed over the past few months. There were talks. The talks did not lead to anything concrete. However, I think if I was on the Turkish side, I'm going to wait and see how much success this shock offensive will have before I go back to any conversation with the Syrian regime.
Now, in your opinion, how can we expect this to unfold long term? I mean, this is a major offensive, and we can imagine that the al-Assad government isn't going to let it go unanswered.
The next battleground is Aleppo city. The rebels have surrounded Aleppo, at least from the western side of the city. They cut off the M5 highway that connects Damascus with Aleppo and with the north. So on the ground, it's going to be Aleppo. The level of success the rebels will have in Aleppo will dictate next steps. But based on what we've seen so far, they are likely to make additional grounds, at least, if not take over the city in the next few hours or few days.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us, giving us your insight. Obviously, this is a major breaking story. We're going to be covering it heavily within the coming days. All eyes on Syria at this point. I'm going to turn back to our guests in the studio, and I'd like to turn